Hey, everybody in the Real Life Momming group. I'm here to answer your Thursday question. And this week, Laura had a really great question about bedtime drama that I'm going to answer. And in my answer, I'm going to illustrate to you something that is a huge paradigm shift for a lot of moms when it comes to the way we approach our parenting. And if this kind of help is something that you want in your life, I really encourage you to register for the workshop that's coming up in a few weeks. It's free, so I can't imagine why you wouldn't be in there. And this kind of problem solving is exactly what we're going to be doing, but we're going to be doing it in a group together, and that is going to be great. So make sure if you're not registered yet that you are, and if you are registered, I hope that all of these videos are just making you more and more excited about our time together that's coming up in a few weeks. Okay, Laura has a 5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, and she is really frustrated because they are so rebellious and resistant around bedtime. You know, they say things to her like, I don't want to go to bed. Laura says they refuse to brush their teeth, use the potty, put on their PJs. They ignore their parents and just run around going crazy through the house when it's bedtime. And Laura says that the things she's tried in the past to get her kids to cooperate around bedtime is, first of all, she's tried making it fun, like playing music and making it a fun time. Bedtime can be fun. She's tried to give them warnings in advance of like, okay, it's going to be 5 minutes until bedtime. In 10 minutes, we're going to put our PJs on or whatever. She's tried shifting their bedtime, so earlier bedtimes and later bedtimes. And just recently, she's started trying some different kinds of consequences, which I'll talk about in a minute. Laura, I will say, if I had to say in one sentence, the reason why you're still struggling with this bedtime problem is that your parenting efforts so far have not been actually about teaching your kids or, oh, Laura just said, I just finished watching the whining video. Oh, Laura, you're not available for the workshop. Don't worry. I will hit you up, okay? And also, you can always join Tribe, and then you're just going to get my goodness every week for the rest of your life, and that'll be awesome too. But going back to Laura and bedtime, the challenge with the way that you're parenting right now, Laura, is that most of your parenting efforts have been about persuading and convincing your kids to be compliant instead of giving them actual experiences that would teach them to make different choices next time. So doing things like shifting bedtimes, the tacit assumption in shifting a bedtime is the reason my kids are behaving this way is because there's something like physiological going on with them. Like they need more sleep or less sleep. They're not tired yet. They're too tired. You know, all of those things. And it's fine to experiment with that, but nowhere in that is it about okay, well, actually, this is about discipline. And I think you're learning that right now. The other things that you're doing, like trying to make it fun, giving them advanced warnings, all of that stuff, it's really all about convincing them to be just more compliant and be on board with bedtime. So you can see that all of that stuff, whether it's changing the bedroom times or bedtimes, or if it's changing their the making it fun and making it giving them a heads up and stuff like that, all of those approaches, none of them have to do with the children are making bad decisions and they need to have a poor outcome from their bad decision. All of these approaches so far have just been about like kind of getting everyone to come along for the ride. That kind of persuasive parenting is almost guaranteed to fail. It just doesn't work. And there's a lot of reasons why we fall into the trap of trying to use persuasive parenting instead of giving consequences and discipline. And it's something that I would just be speculating about right now because I'm just talking and not talking with Laura. But some things that happen that make us sort of stick with persuasive attempts instead of discipline attempts is making it mean that we failed when we have to consequence or discipline our kids, feeling like it's supposed to be a certain way when it really, that's just a story we've told ourselves. Like kids are supposed to go to bed compliantly. I don't know, wherever it says that, right? But telling ourselves that there's something wrong when we have to discipline, or making it mean that we're the mean mommy, or that it might jeopardize our relationship with our kids, or on and on and on. But for whatever reason, Laura, up until now, it sounds like, has really stuck with these persuasive persuasive attempts instead of using a more discipline and consequence-based approach. So the 4 principles, this is very important for anybody who's having a discipline challenge right now. These 4 things I'm about to tell you are, I promise you, the reason why is somewhere in here. The 4 principles that I use when I am teaching discipline. If you're in the tribe group, you're going to get this in your workbook. If you're working with me one-on-one, it's in your curriculum. Principle number 1, we cannot control anyone but ourselves, and it's not our right to control anyone but ourselves. So right now, Laura really wants to get her kids to do all of these things. Her persuasive parenting is coming at the goal of getting her kids to put their PJs on, use the potty, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to work. We can never get our kids to do anything. That cannot be the goal of our parenting, and it definitely can't be the way that we communicate with our kids, because it will definitely backfire and just cause power struggles every time. So that's principle number 1. Principle number 2, kids want choice and agency in life. All humans do, not just children. Outside of infancy, we all want to feel like we're in control of our lives. When we give kids directives and tell them what to do, power struggle again. So especially with your 2.5-year-old Laura, offering choices is probably the swiftest way to change things around with her. Instead of saying it's time to go get ready for bed, go put your PJs on, saying it's time for bed. Do you want to brush your teeth first or do your PJs first? Do you want to put your left foot in first or your right foot in first? Do you want these PJs or these PJs? Choices get kids drunk on power. They don't even realize they're getting managed, especially with toddlers. So that's that second principle, autonomy. Are you giving directives or are you actually giving agency to your kids? The second is experiences are the one and only way that children learn. Experiences and modeling. So all the talking we do, all of the directives we give, all the explaining we do, all the lecturing we do, all of the these things that we're trying to do to make it fun or whatever, it's not really giving kids an experience, and that's why they're not learning and they're not changing their behavior. Natural consequences give children experiences that are at their pay grade, that are safe and secure and sound, and translate into new choices next time. Having a negative outcome, which is what you started to say you were doing finally, is what you had said was what I have this written down here, but I can't find. Oh, that you are saying now that you're not going to read stories to the kids when they're not ready. That's great. And I want you to stick with that and grow on it. And I want you to make sure that when you're using whatever consequence you use, that you're using all 4 of these principles. So you're not trying to control the kids. If they choose not to get ready on time, no problem. They just don't get a story, right? We always give a consequence. We don't give a directive, and we don't get upset when kids make choices that we don't like. So that's the last piece. That 4th piece is neutrality. If you're getting upset, if you are repeating yourself over and over again, you're probably waiting to actually take action until you're really upset. So it's really hard to stay neutral. We want calm, immediate consequences. Right now, you may be staying calm. You didn't say, so I can't know, but I can just sense that you're frustrated. I don't know if you're showing it to your kids, but you're frustrated. Sounds like this situation is going on for a long time. You're not immediately consequencing them. And then also, until recently, it sounds like there wasn't really a consequence at all. It was much more just like everybody trying to convince the kids to get ready and then feeling super frustrated and defeated when bedtime takes 2 hours, everyone's crying, everybody needs a drink. I totally get it. So if I want you to really critically look back and say, are you respecting all 4 of these rules? We can't control our kids, and it's not our right to. Everybody wants autonomy and agency. We need to teach our kids by giving experiences, and we're being totally neutral when we're doing those things. If you're doing all 4 of those things, I promise you will see change. And if you don't see change, I promise you that one of these 4 areas is off kilter. So right now, the one thing I can say for sure it sounds like is off kilter is that experience piece of the puzzle. Good job, Laura. She said, I'm trying to keep my poker face. Good. What I can say just based on what you've shared so far is that it seems to me the biggest thing that's off kilter is the experiences. You're trying to persuade your children. Your parenting efforts are all about persuading them, or in the majority about persuading, not teaching. Teaching comes from experiences. Experiences come from natural consequences. So that's where I want you to focus on. Everybody out there, look and see if you are really nailing it in all 4 of those areas. And I encourage you, even if you're watching the replay, put your questions in the comments. Tell me what you're struggling with. And I bet you can examine that and figure out one of those 4 areas that's off kilter.